It's Erasmo Malilin, the frontliner, Buhay sa London frontliner uh, presenter. Today, I'm going to show you uh, some of my collections over the years, and they're quite interesting. When I was going over my possessions, then I was able to find these rare collectible items, and which I would like to share here in my Buhay sa London Frontliner TV channel. Okay, the first thing that I would be discussing is this. This was given to me by my father when I went on a holiday to the Philippines in 1981, and this was the Crown Royal Seagram's Crown Royal whiskey, and he gave this to me when I went for a holiday over there. And he said, because you're doing so well in England, I'm gonna give you this whiskey, and when you get to London, get your friends around and drink this whiskey for me. But I did not open it because it's like a memento from him. And I'm sure this whiskey was given to him by his colleagues at work when he was still working in the NAWASA, which is the National Water Works and Sewage Authority. The branch is in Cubao, in Quezon City. And he was the branch manager of this public service. So he gave this to me, but I did not open it. It's now 2021. It's still here with me. As you can see, it's sealed, and it's getting a bit very old now. Because when he was a manager in Nawasa, this was in the 1960s, early 1960s. So this must be a very old whiskey. So this is it, Crown Royal Seagram's 3617. I think that was the price then, 36 pesos during his time. And it's imported from Canada. You can see the top. It's still got the beautiful crown cover. Okay, and there's a seal there. There's the number of the seal. Export. So that was an export whiskey. Okay, so that's the whiskey, the Crown Royal whiskey. Then, when I went on holiday there again, my auntie gave me this present, this plate, the blue plate. And it's quite an antique plate, really. It's quite interesting because it has oriental elements in them. So she gave this to me as a birthday present when I was on holiday there in 1984. Okay, now at the back of this plate is it says TFNC Oriental. When I Google search this one, the office of the TFNC is in Bangkok, in Thailand. So, but this was in the Philippines when it was given to me by my aunt, who's well-traveled. So probably she bought this from Thailand when she was there. But that was a long time ago because my auntie was 90 years old in 1984 when she gave this to me. So it is an old antique pottery. Then in 1991, because of my interest in philately, I was collecting Philippine stamps, and I was more interested in collecting Philippine stamps because it's quite diverse. We have the Spanish colonization stamps, then the Americans, and then the Japanese, and then the current government. So I've been collecting these stamps every time I go on holidays anywhere in the Philippines, in America, and when I went to France, I looked at all these postage and stamp collecting shops, and I was able to collect a conglomeration of different stamps, which was quite interesting. But the most interesting one that I've got in my collection is this one, which I bought in Stanley Gibbons here in London, and that's Stanley Gibbons Limited. And in 1987, that was 200 pounds. 200 pounds. That is the first stamp of the Philippines. 1854, orange, red, coarse background lines, a superb example tied to piece by circular dotted hand stamp in blank. So that is the 1854 first stamp of the Philippines, Spanish Philippines, 200 pounds in 1987. So I wonder how much it costs now. It must be very pricey now. This first stamp of the Philippines, which I bought in Stanley Gibbons. And then I have all these other Philippine stamps during the United States, the Spanish Republic in 1873 to 1874, King Alfonso the 12th of Spain. And that was the stamp at that period, 1873 to 1874. Then I've got all of these Spanish stamps in my collection. I've all collected these from all different parts of the world on my holidays, going to these stamp shops and bought them. So I've got really a good collection here of the different stamps during the Spanish regime in the Philippines. Okay, those are still the Spanish stamps. And then the Spanish-American War in the defeat of the Spanish fleet of Manila. So after that, the Spaniards were defeated by U.S. and so U.S. occupied the Philippines, and it has the United States administration 1899 to 1835. So we got all these United States stamps from United States in those years, and they are overprinted with Philippines. As you can see, there's the United States of America, and then it has overprints of Philippines. They used this U.S. stamps, but they overprinted it with Philippines to be used in the Philippines. So this is from 1899 to 1935. Okay, these are all those United States stamps. Okay, that were used in the Philippines. Okay. And then after that, when the Spaniards gave up the Philippines, then the Commonwealth stamps were issued, and this where the Commonwealth still had the United States stamps, but now it's printed with OB, meaning official business. So most of the stamps during the Commonwealth were overprinted with OB, official business, and using the U.S. stamp still. But we were now a Commonwealth because the Americans gave us back the Philippines under the administration of Manuel Quezon. All right. So that is the Commonwealth of the Philippines stamps. I've got very interesting collection of stamps here. Okay, so we go through here. We have this Philippine map, stamp. Is the that's what is still being used is the U.S. stamp. You can see the United States of America. Okay, United States of America. United States of America. Philippine Islands, Commonwealth. So that's how it went. And then during the war, Second World War, Japanese occupation from 1941 to 1946, the Japanese government issued stamps in the Philippines using some. Okay, where are those here? This is the Japanese occupation forces. And those were the stamps in the Philippines during those times, Japan. So it shows how diverse our culture is. We were colonized by the Spaniards, the US, and the Japanese in the end. Then came the victory of the Americans over the Japanese after the war. And so now we were given our independence, total independence in 1946. So from then on, the Philippines had their own stamps. Okay, so that is the story of our stamps. I've got a good collection here of the stamps of the Philippines, and that is called philately. Now, in 1960, I was engaged in the music industry, where my brothers and I organized a band called Roaring Waves. And at that time, in the 1960s, the Beatles were very popular in the Philippines. And this is a picture of the Beatles. And here, the Fab Four: Ringo, Paul, George, and John. So these are my collections. I've got a lot of collections, but they are in the Philippines. So I've got all these Beatle collections. Then as I was working here in England, I met some friends, and some of them gave me these signed autographs of celebrities here in the United Kingdom. And that one is signed by Vince Eager, who is a musician. And then we have this Tony Jackson, Antonio Jackson, who is also a musician, and some other celebrities. So those are my collection. Oh, before I end this one, I've got this panel of mint Spanish stamps, and this was the 3 panels of these stamps. They're all mint, and it's really nice stamps to collect. I've got them all here. So I wonder how much this costs. The Filipinas postage. So this King Philip is on the picture of this stamps, this bundle of stamps. So they all come the same price, but they're all in one collection. I've got 3 of these, and I'm just wondering how much this one will cost if I have them auctioned. Okay, right, so there you are. I got some collections to share to all of you. Good day and have a lovely day.